Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tesla Motors Club podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Lewis.
And I'm Mike.
And let's tell you a couple of things we're going to talk about today. On deck, the Model Y finally launches in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and Singapore. We'll talk about that. Elon finally wants to update the service experience that many of us have experienced around his service centers in North America. We'll talk about that. The White House has also announced plans for a nationwide standard in a charging network. So we're going to see what Mike thinks about that and who he thinks is going to pay for that. We're going to talk about a lot of those things in viewer comments. So right now, strap in, get your drink because episode 13 starts now. As I said, welcome to another episode. This is episode 13. These beautiful gentlemen here, Lewis and Mike. It's a pleasure to have you guys on
Mark.
all the time. Before we get started, anyone that's watching us on YouTube, if you have comments that you want us to discuss or things you want to get off your chest, throw them in the comments, and we'll get to them if we have time today. Start right off, man. Let's just hit the ground running, gentlemen. So a lot of people love the Model Y. And it seems that Tesla loves the Model Y too. So it's finally launching in different countries now. So what do you think that means for anything? Is that going to help us back home, us in North America? Is what's the significance of that? Of these this model launching in these different countries? What do you think how it's gonna impact just Tesla going forward? Of course, they'll make money, but anything else that you think may come from that?
You get volume, you get accelerated rate of design and execution. I mean, and let's be clear. I mean, some of the other markets get some features first, and then it trickles into our market. China is a good example of that right now.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of complications that arise with this for their manufacturing, right? Because these are left-hand drive countries, so that's kind of why weren't they already released there? That's probably the main reason, because they got to build the cars differently.
Yeah, backwards.
They're left-hand drive cars. Yeah.
Yeah, but companies have been doing that for years. I mean, Ford and Chevy have been doing it for years, especially in Australia. I mean, Ford's been in Europe for years, so building the opposite way is nothing new from a design point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's different because obviously they got to put everything on the other side. You can't just mirror things because it depends. So, and yeah, sorry, I should clarify. They drive on the left-hand side. It's technically right-hand drive. So
yeah,
right-hand drive, but they drive on the left side of the road.
Yeah. Have you guys ever driven that way opposite in a different country?
Yes.
I have.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I went to Barbados years ago, and I rented this little car, this little go-kart kind of thing. But it was an actual car, but they're on the opposite side of the road. So it was interesting because I kept wanting to cross over, and I was like, oh no. So I wonder. I guess let me ask this question to Lewis. I mean, I guess they'll have autopilot over there, right? I mean, sure, mm-hmm. Right? So that means that these countries have to have lane markers and all kinds of things. They have to have certain things the car is going to see, right? So I guess the car will know that it's on the right hand, the opposite. I guess it'll know that it's on a different side than over.
And the signage is all different. It looks different. The colors are different. I mean,
they won't have FSD right away for sure. Like with regard to FSD beta and that kind of stuff for sure, right? Like, because even in North America, they didn't release it in Canada right away. It's now released in Canada, but there was a big delay in doing that. I think mostly because of the signage and stuff. But being on the other side, there's definitely going to be differences. I think it would be interesting. Like my biggest challenge when I drove, one is if you drive stick. It's like a whole nother animal because now it's like, oh man, which arm am I doing?
Oh, that's right. I didn't think about that.
Really crazy.
Yes,
so that obviously isn't a factor in a Tesla, right? Because there's no manual transmissions or anything like that. But my other main problem, because I when I did an automatic, was I kept messing up with my stalks. Instead of doing turn signals, I kept doing the wipers. To which my wife was
Oh my
cracking up at me
God.
the whole time, because every time I'd go to signal, the wipers would go off. And then, of course, doing that for a couple of weeks, as soon as I got back to the States, as soon as I got into my car, the first thing I did, the wipers started going, because I messed that up again, trying to go back the other way. So once I got adjusted, so
Did
I think those things at least will be nice, because at least some of the Tesla cars now don't have stalks anymore. If you have a yoke car, so it'd be easier to
That's
do.
right.
But
did,
but yeah,
did
I
you
don't know.
find
It's
Hey, Lewis, did you find yourself having issues judging the sides of the car?
um a little bit, but not really. I mean, I don't know. I To me, it was mostly about the interface to the car. It was less about, like, I didn't have too much trouble with which side of the road I could be on, because things are
Okay.
usually marked and officially, and you're in a different country. You're kind of already, at least I was, being more cautious, right? So I was like
Yeah.
trying to pay attention more,
I,
but
I was constantly
um,
fighting muscle memory of where to look and which way to look. Yeah.
yeah, I definitely appreciated having my wife with me, where I'd be like, could you see anything? Like, what's going on? Because I'm not used to doing that. But yeah, it was interesting.
There's obviously a lot of people in on the website that are very happy that Model Y is getting to at least Australia. I guess these cars, where are these cars coming from? Are they coming from China, or where are they being made in? Do we
That's a
know?
No.
That's a good question. I would assume China, but yeah, I don't know if it's. I mean, it could be coming out of. I would imagine they're using Giga Berlin for European market, right, and Giga Texas for North America primarily, and obviously Fremont doing some stuff for. But yeah, I would guess China. I don't know.
Do you think that this is because I want to know? Do you think that Fremont or Austin would send cars over to Australia? I'm just curious to ask that question.
Depends on shipping. Although I did read this morning. This morning I read that Fremont is building more cars than any other car manufacturer that's used that facility.
GM,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So
yeah,
so they're able to crank more volume through there than anybody else.
yeah. I
So
kind of
you
like
know,
the I kind of like the fact that my car was made in America. I kind of like that.
do
You
you now?
know? Yeah. I mean, it was it was made not only in America, but it was made in California, like right up the street. You know? I remember when I first saw this probably was maybe 2019. No, 2019 when some of the videos were coming out where you would see like there's one super cool video on YouTube where there's a camera mounted in the back of a Model 3 and it's going at like hyper speed. It's like time lapse, but you can slow it down to like point, whatever to kind of see it, and you just see all the different things. People they're on these little seats that swing in
Yep.
inside the car, and they
Yep.
they do things, and they swing out, and then the arm comes in, and that was cool. And then you finally see the screen light up. It's like the car coming to life, like Frankenstein or whatever. So that was really a cool thing to see that, man, to see the process, and then getting the VIN number. The whole process of ordering a Tesla, it's so automated. You like what you pick what you want, you get what you want, go into the app, and then after that, it's just the computer takes over. You don't have to talk to
So
anybody.
so
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll compare that for you, Mark. So we ordered a Model Y. My wife and I used the phone just like everybody else does. I can go on my phone, I can check and see, and it tells me sometime between December and February, I may or may not get a Model Y. Um, we also have a Lyric on order, just in case.
Oh yeah.
And that was a painful process. Given the fact that GM has got the model of Tesla to work from, they still managed to screw it up
So
because I
could you get
actually
it
had
on?
to print. Go ahead.
No. Could you order it from the app still? You had to. Was it instant?
No, there is no
Hmm.
app. There is no app. You
Okay.
can go to the website. I had to go to the website and submit my name and information and give them $100. But I actually had to go to the dealer with a PDF file that I printed and signed for them to type it into their computer at the dealer.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah. And there's no update from GM. I get an update occasionally from the dealer, but it has very little to do with the car itself. Yeah, I mean, the differences are night and day between Tesla's ordering process and General Motors, and I think General Motors needs to step up their game.
You know, it's funny. Just thinking about, something you just said, Mark, about you like the fact that cars are made in America. I was thinking about, I had a Jeep before. My wife has a Jeep. They're made in Italy. My Nissan was made in America, so that was a Japanese car, but that was made in America. And yeah, the Tesla.
My Ranger from years ago was made in Mexico. The transmission came out of Germany. I mean,
yeah, it's kind of
made in America is kind of a nebulous thing nowadays.
Yeah. So Mike, back to the Lyric. Now, it's an interesting car. It looks fantastic. It looks really nice. Now, were you able to get in it and drive it, or it was just a show?
Nope. And there's no date set when they'll have one for anybody to actually sit in.
What's the projected date?
Delivery?
Or when they would start selling them? Yeah, when they start selling them.
Oh, they're selling it. They're sold out. They're selling it, and they are sold out. They were sold out within 4 hours.
Okay.
But the projected delivery date is end of the year at the soonest.
Oh, wow.
Probably first quarter next year.
So do you think that they're going to like get because you know how the Cybertruck was like, oh, in 2020 it's going to be, and so here it is 2022 and no Cybertruck.
They have them in the wild. I mean, several of the EV commentators I follow have been able to drive them. One guy had it for 1,000 miles. Wow. And his comment was, if you're comparing the Tesla to the Lyric, it's comparing a Honda to a BMW, and Tesla was not the BMW.
What Tesla was he? Did he specify which Tesla?
He didn't. But he was referring more to fit, finish, overall look, feel, types of materials used on the interior, feature set. So, like a Model 3 doesn't have ventilated seats, for example.
Right.
But in the Cadillac is the same price point. It has ventilated seats. It's got, a really nice, if not conventional dash, it's not a minimalistic dash like the Tesla has. It's more of a wrap.
Do you think
it's still
people?
A Cadillac though.
Yes, that gaudy front.
Although
the ghetto front.
Yeah, it's interesting. They said 70% of the sales were not the normal Cadillac demographic. They're new to the brand. So they're I forget what the term was. They have a term for this. It's a breakthrough or something like that, where a model breaks out of a normal demographic and it goes to a new demographic. And they seem to have gotten that.
I wonder how many they actually sold, though, right? Because all they said was they're sold out. When I did some Googling, and the best number I could find is somebody claimed there were only 1,500 available. But other people were like,
believe that.
How could you know that? They didn't say anything. So I'm curious to see what it looks like when they actually come out.
Yeah, because I've got the Model Y. My wife likes the Model Y, but she likes some of the features that the Cadillac purports to have. And we're both in the camp of, okay, we're willing to look at it. We went and looked at the Polestar, and we thought I was on my phone ready to buy the Polestar until we actually looked at it. And when we sat in it, it was like, nope. This is not what we want.
Wow.
So, if the Model Y shows up first, we'll probably get it and be happy with it. But if the Caddy at least shows up where we can sit in it, who knows? We'll see.
Have you ever been a Cadillac guy, Mike?
No. My uncle was. My dad liked Lincolns.
My mom was.
My dad loved Lincolns for years and years.
Lincolns,
my uncle was a Caddy guy for years and years.
Yeah.
I was always into sports cars.
Yeah. Yeah. Black folks love Cadillacs because everybody in my family had a Cadillac. My mom's first Cadillac was a 1979 sedan DeVille.
Ooh, big boat.
It got about 4 miles to the gallon. It had a CB radio in it, and it had on the front. It had these cool like in the front up at the hood. You had these little lights. Like when you turn the blinker on, it was a little section up in the front of the hood on the outside that showed you the light that was blinking. It had cruise control, which I thought was cool. I think I was 16. By the way, I got my driver's license in that car. That's how I got my driver's license with that car.
No.
So I would drive my friends around, and I say, look, the car the car is accelerate is drive without me touching it, and it's like, oh wow. So I lifted my foot up one day because I was trying to show off, and then I put the car in neutral. And then the engine goes, ah! I was like, oh. But
Well,
my point is Cadillacs are just ghetto. That's my point.
No,
They look ghetto.
No.
That whole front end, the front end on that Lyric is ghetto.
If I could wave a magic wand and tell GM what I wanted for an EV,
Yeah.
I would say take your Blackwing and make it an EV. I don't know if you're familiar with the Blackwing, but
No.
it's not
I'm
your
not.
mama's Cadillac.
Okay.
It's a badass,
Okay.
ice burning,
So
rocket
so
ship.
so you don't think you need to drive the Lyric in order to feel if you want it or not. You just think it's just going to be like good to go.
No, I'd want to drive it. I really would.
Okay.
And the reason I want to drive it, all right, YOLO. Stay with Tesla.
Oh, my
YOLO
boy-
in the chat.
My boy
That's
up in
right.
here.
YOLO's
My
here.
boy YOLO.
YOLO's in the
YOLO. YOLO, we know what's up, man. That's my dude. What's up, brother?
YOLO, for you, I would give it probably a 90% probability we'll stay with the Y. But it's prudent for me as a consumer to look at what's coming on the market.
Okay, because we all. Go ahead, Louis.
I would say I'm really interested in seeing the performance out of a lot of these other
Yeah.
car companies, right? Because
Yeah.
like Tesla, kind of obviously being one of the first movers in
Yeah.
EVs, they did a lot
Yeah.
in like opening people's eyes up to like, man, I hit the pedal, instant torque, and I'm flying.
Right.
They have a lot of power, but Tesla's also done a lot of innovating with their their motors and the stators and all that, and how it works. I'm curious to see what the performance actually looks like out of these other cars, because I'm not talking about the high end. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, are they going to compete with the Plaid? I just mean like when you drive a Model 3 or a Model Y performance, and you drive a Lyric
Right.
or you drive one of these others, is it going to feel? Are you to feel that power, or is it going to feel closer to a weaker, lower horsepower kind of
little
vehicle?
Hyundai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I saw a Hyundai EV going down the road the other day, and I noticed it was kind of lifting in the corners. It doesn't seem to have the stability my Model 3 has.
Interesting.
I met this cutie pie of a girl. She has a Lexus CT200, which I've never heard of before. It's it's a hatchback. It's a Lexus hatchback. It's got a Prius drivetrain, so it has an electric motor, and it has a regular engine. And it's the cutest little. It's cute. She looks cute in it. Let's just keep it real. But I had never heard of that before. I never heard of a Lexus CT200. So I did some research on it, and the CT stands for Creative Touring, and the 200 stands for the equivalent engine power. So it's equivalent to a inline 4,
200
2 liter,
amps, 200.
a 2 liter engine. So it's a small kind of car.
It is.
And
city
but
car.
yeah, and but it's cool. It has a. So I told her. So I was talking to her yesterday, and I mentioned to her that it had this sport mode, and so she's had the car for. So they discontinued it around 2017. So she's had the car for a few years, and she had a Prius and went to that, and so she never thought to try the sport mode. Yeah, so she tried the sport mode. It's like, oh my God, I've had this car this entire time, and I've never tried the sport mode. Because what sport mode does is it uses the electric motor and the engine to propel it.
Extra oomph.
Yeah, so it goes. So I had never seen it, but it's an old. The dash, the interior is old school. It's old school Lexus. It doesn't have an infotainment screen, but it was kind of cool. It's she looks cute in it. But my point is that I asked her about how it's been service wise, and she said so far it's been okay. She's had it for a while and hadn't had any issues with it.
Now, being a Prius, is it a plug-in or is it strictly?
Well, it's a Lexus, but it has a Prius drivetrain.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
Drivetrain.
like a Prius, does it have the plug-in, or is it one of these weird hybrid?
I think it's a hybrid. Yeah, I don't think it plugs in. I think it's just a hybrid. Yeah. So because I was asking about the service on it, and then I was saying to segue into the comment about service,
Service
where
indeed.
where Elon, because I asked her, how service was that car, and then I told her, with my car, fortunately, knocking on all the wood, I haven't had any issues with either. I've had two Teslas now, and I've never had any issues with them. I did have to go in to get the bumper cover on my first car replaced because I hit something in someone ran over something in the road and it cracked it. So, but that whole process was like pulling teeth. I had to go there, and it was 2 times I had to go there, and this is in 2020 when the pandemic was still happening, and so they had to look at I go there just so they can look at the paint code. Like, I could have told you the paint code over the thing, but they look at the paint code and say, okay, well, we'll schedule to come back again. I'm like, well, why not do this? Why I could have just told you that. So then I go, and then like a week later, whatever, they schedule me to come back, and the bumper had to get painted, and then it was ready. And it took them, a couple of hours to get it done, but there were so many cars just lined up, just parked, they're waiting to get service. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, what's happening here? When there's so many, so I guess that Tesla was like, people were buying these cars so much that they were keeping up. And so I've seen tweets where Elon said back in the day, 2018, 2019, oh wow, I need to think about the service centers because my cars aren't perfect. They are going to break down. So recently, he was talking about how he wants to make that more of a thing. He wants to put more effort into having these service centers better. And I know, Mike, you were talking earlier, I think before we started the podcast, about Santa Ana is online now. And and you're going to take your car in to get your windshield replaced because last week, for those of y'all, sorry, the back glass. And for those of y'all who weren't here, didn't hear it, Mike had an issue where his the truck strut came off and cracked it. So he has to replace it.
Let's be precise about this.
Third party aftermarket.
Third party.
Let's be precise. The little knuckle that's the pivot on the top of the strut literally shattered. And when it did, the strut went sideways and hit the glass and put a big half-moon divot in the bottom. And I was going to live with that. I was going to suck it up and just live with that. But about 3 days after that, I got 2 big spider cracks running through the back glass now. So from a pure safety point of view, I need to get the back glass done. Now, to their credit, when I opened the ticket with Santa Ana, again, it uses the app, painless. I opened the app. I said, I need service. I need back glass. They didn't have back glass listed as an option. I had to pick top glass, and then I had to say it's really the back glass. so I that's an oversight on the app's issue. We went back and forth chat a few times, and finally they just said, "Can we call you?" And I said, "Sure, like a real person, call me." So they called me. We chatted. We got it done. They got the same issue that anybody else has. We're waiting for parts. And so I'll be getting the back glass done. I'll be getting the top glass done also at the same time. So we'll see how it turns out.
Is this your first, refresh my memory, is this your first time dealing with service in your car?
It's the first time dealing with the service center. Up to now, everything's been mobile. And mobile's been spot on perfect.
Right. Yeah. I've had when I had my first car and my second car, they installed the home link. I mean, it was like 20 minutes, And
no, they've done a couple things for me. The last was they did a proactive replacement of the 12-volt battery. The guy showed up 15 minutes later, battery was done, windows aligned, done. No charge. Gotta love it.
So what do you think, and Lewis jump in, because for everybody who knows, Lewis finally got his VIN on his Plaid, okay, and we're going to, when he gets it, he's going to, he's going to be in the car doing the podcast. He's going to be in the car,
that's right, that's right.
It's like it's all our child. We've been waiting for this thing to happen. So
the ghost Plaid.
Yeah, the ghost Plaid. But, Lewis, tell us, in your mindset, because you haven't had a Tesla yet, right? This is your first Tesla, right?
Correct.
Right. So what are things that you are accustomed to at a conventional service center that you would expect to be in a Tesla service center now? The things that you expect them to
I mean,
have with no problem.
sure. What I'll say in general is I usually hate my service center experiences in
Amen.
other manufacturers, right?
Just in general,
Um,
right?
My
Yeah.
my,
just
my
in
Audi was
general,
terrible. My Audi
um,
service experiences were terrible.
yeah. Whenever I would have to bring something to get serviced, it's like, it's. I guess what I feel like is I always preferred going to mechanics that I could trust and third party folks that aren't gonna like rip you off. Whenever you had to do like an actual manufacturer thing due to a recall or like standard service under warranty and you go there, it's like, sure, we'll do this warranty thing and here's 500 other things that
Right,
have
right,
nothing to do with
right.
your warranty that we're going to charge you an arm and a leg for. And it's, I don't know, it's just always a really unpleasant experience. They never have a loaner car for me or something available in that sense. They want you to sit there all day or like drop it off. They're never done when they say that it's going to be done. You're waiting, multiple days. It's just, I don't know. It's always been awful in many of the companies and cars and things that I've experienced over the years. I'm looking. I'm looking forward to it with Tesla, but we'll see. Obviously the mobile service looks good. I'll say that in Austin there was only one service center, which which was on the north side of Austin. They have just opened up a service center on the south side, and I live southwest, so it's closer to me. I'm kind of on the west side, a little bit south, but so originally when I purchased my car, they told me I'm going to have to go to the North Service Center to get it picked up because the South Service Center is too new. They don't do all that stuff. Now, because it's taken so long to get the car, they actually schedule delivery at the South one. So,
Nice.
so it'll be nice to see what that looks like. I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting that they're expanding to multiple in just this city. Because when I look at, on a map, I see tons of gaps of where there aren't service centers just around the country. So I guess Austin kind of gets a little nice extra treatment because the headquarters is here now. But I'm curious to see how they roll out more of
Well,
them.
so riddle me this, guys. You know, Elon's thing about he wants to make service centers 10 times better. It's easy to build a service center. It's a box, with a dozen or so bays in it. The equipment's easy. What's hard is getting the technical help. I mean, they can't get good, solid technical help today. What are they going to do when they want to expand this out? And let's be clear, that you can't get good mechanics for ICE cars today easily. Now you want to up the ante and say, oh, now you got to know, normal mechanicking, but now we're going to throw an EV into the mix with high voltage battery systems and computers and, CAN bus systems that run everything from the headlights all the way down the line. I think Elon's bitten off quite a bit right there.
Yeah. Yeah, what Elon says, for those who can't see, he says, I really want Tesla to look at how we can revolutionize service and, I don't know, make it 10 times better than the rest of the industry. That was Elon's words from his mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Maybe.
one thing that I don't like is that, and maybe it's changing now, but that they don't have any loaners. Because I'm going to tell you, once you get into a Tesla, once you go Tesla, you don't go back.
You don't go
What I'm
back.
saying? And so not having, and sometimes some people have had their cars there. I've read on the TMC forums, some people have their cars in the shop for like weeks, for whatever,
That would
and
hurt.
so, yeah.
That
And
would
so,
hurt.
well, we'll give you Uber credits. Uber credits are cool and all, but dadgummit, you just want to just have your car or be able to have, a Tesla to stay in. So one thing that I hope that Elon would try to do is at least get some loaners available, for those who need their car. It needs to stay in for a while for a drivetrain issue or whatever, for something like oh, we got to replace your bumper cover. Sure, Uber credits, but something where it's
Yeah.
going to take like your glass may take a minute, right, to get installed. I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, it may take a minute, may take a week.
So
I don't know.
yeah.
I really don't. I've never had to deal with the service center for anything, so I don't know how
Yeah.
well or how badly this is going to go.
Yeah. And so dealing with conventional old school ICE dealerships, internal combustion engine dealerships,
Yeah,
is that
shoot me now.
most of the time, most of the time that you could get a loaner, or I've always had to get a loaner, been able to get a loaner because I always set my appointments first in the morning. That way I can
Right.
get where there's guaranteed at least a loaner there. And some because I had an Infinity, so they would have like a board where, okay, you're scheduling your service center will have a car for you, and so it's that's helpful to me because when you schedule a service, they schedule a car. Some folks I would see come in there like, you can get a loaner. So, oh, we're out of loaners because you just came in, at the last
you're
of the day.
walk-in.
Yeah, exactly. You're walk-in. So that's one thing I would think that I would hope that they would try to get fixed.
My service center didn't even have a car for me to see when I was there deciding on buying one. Like they were just like, there's no car for you to even go inside of and look at or whatever. Granted, it was brand new, just opening, but I was kind of like, how do you not have a car yet to even like?
See, that's an interesting contrast, Louis, because here in SoCal, when we bought the Y, it was literally at a mall, not the service center, and they had 3 Teslas in the store in the mall. But when my wife said, I haven't driven one, the guy literally handed her a card key, scanned her license, says, yeah, they're out in the parking lot. Go find the white one that this key opens and be back in 30 minutes. They had about 8 of them there.
Interesting.
Yes,
they were, for me, they were like, they had customer cars because they were fixing them. Right. And they're like, oh, you can go over there and kind of like glance through the glass and look at these cars that are people's cars. And I'm just like, what is this nonsense? But I'm expecting that they have more now that, they've had more, have.
Now, is that a Texas thing?
Open longer.
Because they can't sell the car?
No, because they told me that they will have cars to do it. They will have them. They just didn't because they were so new and opening. And they said if I wanted to drive up to the other one on the other side of the city, that they would have had them available. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I know YOLO said he got a loaner in Memphis, but it's a newer SC. I think supercharged when I see SC. So YOLO, if you can tell us what was your car in for? What did you go in there for, and how long was it? Was it because maybe that's why they gave you one? And also, let me ask this question, YOLO. Have you had service before? And did you get Uber credits, or did they give you a loaner before? Just curious.
Yeah. Look at Mark asking YOLO questions like he's not talking to himself.
Look, man. Hey.
So we have another comment from
Jones.
Dean.
Oh, Dean. From Dean. Yeah, I was going to ask Dean.
And the question is, does everyone use an aftermarket sunshade under the top glass? One should come with the Y and 3. And I'll address this, Dean, because I own I've got the shades and I use them. Yeah, that's why. But I'll tell you what I am going to do. When I get the new glass, I'm actually going to put the ceramic tint up there.
There you go.
I wasn't sure I wanted to spend the money for the ceramic tint.
It's a good idea.
I've got the ceramic on the side because I don't feel like being in a terrarium.
Yeah.
But I put the shade up, and I realized I kind of missed that open feeling that the glass gives. So I'm going to put the ceramic. It'll be clear ceramic.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm planning to do with mine.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Did you tint the front windshield, Mike?
No, I had that on my Audi, and I had some distortion issues as much as I like the tint on the front, and I decided not to do it this time.
Okay. I had it for both of mine Teslas, and I don't have that issue. That's why I asked. And it comes in handy because you can definitely feel the difference before when they put it on there. So, yeah.
Oh, I'd recommend ceramic tint to anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So, if for sure, Lewis, being down there in hot, humid Texas.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so what about the service center? What does Tesla get right about it? What do you think you guys to get it right about it? For me, it's the app. I just like, look, I got this problem, figure it out.
The app is slick.
None
of the car dealers I've worked with, Mercedes, BMW, Chrysler, Ford, none of them had an app that's worth a damn. If they had it at all.
Oh yeah, YOLO with the plaid. Look at that comment.
Yeah.
See, y'all sassing YOLO, and he got a plaid. See, there you go. Stop sassing my boy.
My boy
okay?
YOLO.
Stop. Okay. Oh, now you cool with him, Lewis.
Now
YOLO. He's
right,
cool. Right. Before he's like, what's YOLO talking about? Now, YOLO's got a Model S. Well, YOLO. That's what's up, man. So hopefully they fixed it, but it seems like it was something pretty simple that they got done.
Yeah, they put a real steering wheel on.
Yeah. Dean says with tint, the glass itself gets hot and radiates. They need an illuminization option. But wouldn't that kind of mess with some of the
Yeah.
antennas in the car?
Yeah, you would turn yourself into a skiff, and all your electronics would fail.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, because I've read when I was researching tint for my first Tesla, I saw people saying, yeah, certain types of tint, they
they call it metallicized, and it's literally a thin metal film, and yes, it will kill. It's technically, it attenuates the signal, and what it does is it lowers the signal level to where it just doesn't work anymore. So GPS, your phone, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, I got a chance to see Biden this week. He was here in LA for
I remember
the summit.
that. I was going to ask you how that all turned
The
out.
summit of it's a whole thing. It's a whole ordeal. Secret Service, they do their whole background, and I've done the Democrat debates. I was one of the camera people that traveled with that. Even back in 2016 when Trump was when that whole thing with Republicans, I did all that. And Secret Service, they have to background check you if you're going to be that close to these people. But anyway, it was fun. It was interesting. It's I've been doing stuff for 30 years, so it's not a big deal. But he's getting up in age, man. I got to say that. I mean, Biden's cool. He's my dude. He's cool, but he's getting a little up in age.
He's old.
Yeah, he's getting a little old.
Yeah.
But he did try to kick some things off. He mentioned the White House confirmed that they are going to do a standard that involves funding the EV service, expanding it to more cities. Because a lot of things because I'm on different types of just social media platforms. I just read what people say, and a lot of people who want to get into EVs, they're afraid that where's the charge? I don't know where to charge at. And there's a lot of chargers around, but because you're not in an EV car, you don't even notice them. Like here in LA, when I got my Tesla, I didn't know that there's like a on certain power poles in the city. They're just like a free charging. You just can plug up and charge there. I had no idea. So being that the Biden administration is allowing this to happen, I think is a good thing. But Mike, who do you think is going to pay for this?
Well, let's start with the basic number. The number I've read is $7.5 billion. That's with a B. And you would think the industry would pay for most of it because they want us to buy their cars. But I'm willing to bet that you and I, as the consumer, will end up taking the hit for a good portion of it. And you can argue about investment infrastructure and all that, but in my humble opinion, this really ought to be an industry-driven initiative.
I agree. If they want to get us off oil and they want to get
us off oil and fossil fuels, then cough up. Take some of that profit you just made on all the oil and roll it over into the EV side of the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, the shareholders might have something to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. What you think, Lewis?
Unfortunately, I was going to say shareholders tend to have more power than taxpayers because shareholders
they do.
fund lobbyists.
Yeah, they do.
So, I guess what I find interesting is more going to be around the standardization that they pick and choose, like what regulations they decide on, what they're going to say is required, and those types of things like, has to be CCS, has to have, X number of kilowatt hours, all those types of things. But for me, that's what's more interesting. I'm not super interested about who pays for it because they're going to spend money. They're going to spend money. Like it's not, you know what I mean? It is what it is. And not to get into a whole thing on policy and everything else, like that's a rabbit hole.
Well,
but I am a big fan of MMT, so don't worry about it.
What I don't see in any of the jibber jabber about this whole initiative. Now, granted, it's new, and
right.
I'm willing to bet behind the scenes it's a really moving target on a lot of levels.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see anything about standardization of the distribution. I don't see anything about American Disabilities Act and how does a disabled person get to use an EV charging station. Most of the stations I use, you'd better be a fit person, because between juggling and pulling on a very thick cable
Yeah.
that doesn't want to bend, it's
Right.
usually mounted at a bad height. It's
Yeah.
usually in a very narrow parking, and you got some Yahoo next to you that's on the line. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
list of things that you need to address
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
from a functionality point of view. I mean,
Yeah. And
it,
policing it, because there's a thing
yeah,
called,
that's
what's
a
it called?
pet peeve of them. That's a pet peeve.
Icing, is that what it's called?
That is
Icing,
what
where
it's
these,
called, icing.
so what's going to happen? There's no one around to prevent people from parking like that.
So I'll
There's a lot
say,
of
I know
vandalism,
here in
too.
the state of California, it's a ticketable offense to ICE. If you can get someone's attention to write the ticket, it's like a $300 ticket.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It's a big deal. But
Wow.
again, it's one of those crimes that there's bigger and better things for the
Right.
police to do. So getting someone to
Right.
actually write the ticket is tough.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I've seen, and I won't give names, but I've seen vigilantes, if you want to call them that, sticking on stickers on the windows. You're blocking a charger, bad on you, shame on you, blah blah blah.
Wow.
Now the trick about the sticker is it doesn't come off unless you use a razor blade. You literally got to scrape this thing off the windshield. So
Okay.
Not-
Wow.
might be a bit confrontational.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I want to get off and all that. I know Yolo said he received his CCS adapter. So Yolo, did you? If you're still around, you should be.
Of course he is.
Did you order it overseas? Did you order it from either delivered? Because I got mine from delivered, or did you get it from the other spot or eBay, or just if you can tell us where you got it from, and also have you used it yet and what you think about it? I think I still haven't used mine yet. It's still in the car. But Mike, do you use yours more than anything else? What's your mix of usage with your adapter?
For the last 2 months, I've been running on CCS and shadow mode adapters, and I supercharged today for the very first time in 2 months.
Wow.
And the only reason I did that is I just wanted to run a test about how fast supercharging was versus my CCS. So my CCS is limited to about 45 kilowatts, and the charger I happen to be at from Tesla is 70 kilowatts, and I got the full 70 out of that. So
Nice.
It comes down, time is money,
Right. Yeah, I still haven't tried mine yet. I keep forgetting to do it, man. I just keep forgetting to do it.
I'm honestly, I have to say, so obviously I haven't supercharged or anything like that yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. I expect most of my charging to be done at my house.
Right.
Just because I would assume most people's a good portion of their charging will be done at their house if they have a house, as opposed to.
Let me throw this at you a minute,
Mhm.
and then you can give me an opinion. And actually, my wife and I talked about this. So my Model 3's got short legs. The average range is about 200 miles,
Sure.
which means that at 50%, I need roughly 20 kilowatts of power, which only takes about 20 minutes, maybe 35 minutes at the most. If I had an extended range, or one of the new Teslas that have got 350 miles of range, and I run it down to 25%, I'm going to be there a while, even supercharging. If I'm
Right.
trying to charge at home at 7 kilowatts, you're going to be there all day and night trying to put that big battery and fill it up. So
Yeah,
when you
I
say
guess-
charge at home,
Well, I guess the way I look at it, though, is right. So, for example, my car will have 300 and whatever miles of range.
right?
I don't
right.
drive 300 and whatever miles a day. And every
Agreed.
night, if I charge it at night, it's going to be full in the morning when I go to get. So, I guess my point is, I can't conceive of a situation other than a road trip where I will ever need to charge in Austin, not at my house.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's, again, how I envision my driving patterns. Now, other folks that have crazy long commutes or other things, I could see it
Yeah,
being
big
different
difference.
for sure. But yeah, I don't know. But I guess what I'm wondering, though, is going to be more about charging costs, because especially if they're doing this initiative, right, and they're going to put all these stations in, what are we looking at with taxes added onto electricity?
Right.
Yep.
What are we looking
Right.
at?
Well, Tesla just
people-
raised supercharging for a
You know
lot
what I
of
mean?
locations.
Is there going to be limits on how much extra over they can charge for electricity or not? Right? Because some
Right.
places might go, "Hey, man, I can charge whatever I want," and free market it. And if there's not anybody in that area, or if there's not enough charging in that area, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, because there's taxes and gas, which all these years, I never knew there were like a gas tax. I just plug up to the pump and go. But as I got older, I realized what it was. Like, all right, I got it. But I wonder. I do wonder what kind of what that means once they, because someone has to pay for it. If we're not going to pay for it right away, I mean, someone's got to pay for that. You know what I'm saying? And
Well,
they want. I was reading they
well,
want.
all right, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'm going to argue with you on that for a minute.
Okay.
So yeah, we pay a gas tax, and I've paid it for years, and I get it, and I consider that to be a fair trade for using the roads and highways and all that.
Sure.
If the gas tax made it to that, it doesn't. It goes in the general fund and evaporates.
Fair point.
Our infrastructure needs work, and the politicians,
Yeah.
oh, gee, there's no money. Sorry. What about all the gas tax we just paid? Oh, it
Yeah.
went in the general fund. It's gone. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And the last several months, like there was a post I saw on Reddit in Beverly Hills. It was $8 a gallon. That was regular. That was regular
Ouch.
petrol. $8 a gallon. But
that ain't gas tax though. Gas tax is only about 40 cents.
yeah, and so it's a full service station. There's that, but a lot of people was like, well, how can they justify that? And I said, well, it's probably just fleet managers that have cars that just need to get fuel or whatever. So it's not a big deal. But my point is that kind of dough, $8 a gallon. If you got an SUV, man, you're screwed. That's ridiculous. And
I don't have this. I got a little 2012 Beetle that my oldest daughter drives, and it's like $60 to fill this thing, and it's only got a 10-gallon tank or 12-gallon tank. I mean there was a not SUV but like a work truck across from me at the island, and he was ranting because he was at the $200 mark filling this thing.
now I'll say this.
I'm gonna have 7 or 8 cents a kilowatt charging my Tesla at home. So
Must be nice. I charge.
Must be nice.
It's 26 cents a kilowatt for me here, but that's
16.
still fine.
16
It's still fine. So when I had my QX, when I first moved here in 2011, so I got my QX, and so there was a station on Pico, and they had racing fuel.
Oh,
It was 100 octane. It was 100 octane, and it was $10 a gallon. This was in 2011.
yeah.
I filled my tank up. I got a photo to prove it. I filled my tank up. It was $270 to fill it up. But let me tell you, you could blow on the pedal, and that car would take off because once it adjusted to the octane. Oh my gosh, that car ran like a scalded cat. And
we're not gonna have this conversation. We don't have enough time to have that debate.
I'm just saying, man.
That sounds psychosomatic to me.
Man, it was so awesome. And I filled my car maybe 2 or 3 times before I could stop. I couldn't afford that, but man. But it's kind of like the Tesla. It's like, where you get into this Tesla and you go 0 to 60 like that, and now you get into a gas car. It's like, okay, I'll get there. And it's like, bruh, come on, and then it's just a whole different thing. So, anyway, the consensus of the thing about this takeaway about this new EV thing is that it's a good thing because it does invite more people to feel more comfortable to get into the EV world, but we're not sure how it's gonna be paid and where it comes from. So we're kind of skeptical about that.
Well, right now I think it's kind of pie in the sky. I mean, one thing I read was basically a charging station every 50 miles. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Well, goal. Practical? Maybe not.
There were restrictions on it, right? It had to have at least 4 stalls. It had to that are 150 kilowatt.
Something, yeah.
It had to have. I assume it was CCS. That's the standard they went to.
I haven't seen anything.
They haven't mentioned what kind of
But yeah, I'm
or
willing to
whatever.
bet it's CCS.
I would imagine CCS is probably what they'll pick. But then
Yeah.
the question, do you have to use an app or not? Can you just pay at the pump, or at the quote unquote pump, right? Like
Right.
I don't know. I feel like there's going to be this whole drama over apps and just memberships and all this other crap.
I think there's going to
Subscriptions.
be one other drama, and I think what you're going to find is a tiered selection. So Tesla, Porsche, Volkswagen, they're all putting a lot of money into super high speed chargers. What is it, 800 volts and God knows how many amps. But you're not going to put that type of charging network across the U.S. I think what you'll probably find is you'll find private networks like that. The public network, which is what Biden's talking about, is probably going to be much more like a 50 kilowatt station, or 75, something in that range that gets the job done, although it's not speedy. I just can't see them spending an investment for 250 kilowatts, 300 kilowatts for the vast majority of cars that can't do it.
I mean, I just worry about the electrical infrastructure, right? Like our power grid in so many places across the country can't actually handle this.
Hell, they can't run the house, much less an EV.
Right. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, really we're talking about needing infrastructure spending beyond just installing a charger.
Yeah, well, and that's the piece that people don't realize is installing a charger is a hell of a lot more than just putting a box on a post with some wires in the ground.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole distribution underneath there that they don't know about or care about.
Yeah. I was reading. There's a thing I was reading, and I linked it in our section here that maybe Doug can pull up. But you're talking about the kilowatt. Under the proposal, it says the proposal would require standard plugs. Not sure what standard plugs are.
Probably CCS.
American made EV chargers, minimum uptimes, data sharing provisions, and the ability for DC fast charging stations to simultaneously charge at least 4 vehicles at a minimum of 150 kilowatts.
That's the DOT proposal, which is rolled into Biden's proposal. So Biden's proposal is actually several different proposals, all under the same umbrella.
Sure.
So we'll have infrastructure by committee, which means it'll take forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only way they get to do it.
Yeah. Here in LA,
150 kilowatts, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. And it says simultaneously charge a minimum of 4. So that's a lot of voltage. Now, if you in Nebraska someplace, in a one horse town, one light town, is that going to, what's that going to do to the grid there? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But it's interesting. And I think he said he wants it done by 2030.
So riddle me this. Are they going to spend all that money in a EV hostile state? Like Oklahoma, for example?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good question.
Just saying. I mean, there are some states out there that are openly hostile to EVs for whatever reason.
That's a good question. So I don't know. I'm very fortunate that I can charge at home, and I don't know, man. I'm just it's interesting. It's interesting to see how to play out as we get closer to that. But the first thing is we have to get cars that can compare to the Tesla. Because not everyone can afford a Tesla, rightfully understandable,
Okay.
But
you can buy a Lyric.
Oh yeah, Alan's got some words for you in the chat on the Lyric.
I know that's right. The Lyric is almost 200. Mike, did you know that the Lyric is almost 200 inches long? I don't think it would fit in my Florida garage.
Yeah, well, neither will a Cybertruck. So.
Oh my gosh, the Lyric, man. I don't know, man.
It is long. It is long.
That's what she said. So, Mike, you said your daughter has a bug. So, are you going to convert her over to EV, or is she not ready yet?
I've got 4 daughters.
Oh wow.
So one daughter, her and her boyfriend have got a Tesla and a Fiat. Okay. One daughter
is a Fiat electric. Is a Fiat electric?
No. It's ICE, but she bought it some years ago, and there's emotional attachment to it.
Got it.
So one daughter's got the bug, and that's emotional attachment because it was my dad's, and we inherited it when he passed. The third daughter has got the little BMW i3, which is the EV we just got for her. And the youngest is 14 and doesn't drive yet, but she desperately wants to, and she wants another BMW. So,
Okay.
so the whole family's pretty much on EVs, except for a couple of emotional, type cars.
Does she still drive her Fiat, or is it it's just like parked in a place with lights on it? And
By all accounts, she drives it occasionally.
so it's not a daily driver.
She does like driving the Tesla.
She does. Okay. Okay. So they're all on board going the EV ride. They
So
seem to be.
we've got EVs for everybody. We've got a plug-in hybrid van for my wife. It's a Pacifica hybrid. Although that will be leaving us once the Y comes in.
Okay. How'd you like the Pacifica? Because at one point that was like a luxury thing when it first came out.
So the interesting story about the Pacifica is it is succeeding wildly despite Chrysler's best efforts.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a fabulous van. It's one of the few vans that's a full-size van that you can actually walk between the seats if you got the captain seats. Halls, small apartments. I mean, it's got a cavernous back area to it.
Mm-hmm.
Great power, short legs. It's only 30 miles for all battery, and it's got a gas motor. But if you're putzing around town doing all the pickup and whatnot for the kids for school and all that, 30 miles is great. Its biggest downside is the J, so there's no fast charge option for it. But
Gotcha.
it rides well. It's got all the creature comforts that most people want. It's got ventilated seats, got air conditioning, heating, heated seats, heated steering wheel. Everything you would expect out of a high-end platinum, because it's the platinum van.
Gotcha.
My wife calls it her magic carpet because it's just got this floaty, soft feeling as you drive along.
Okay.
And,
Fair enough.
Chrysler, to their credit, sell every one that they can make, except they're idiots because they don't know how to fix them. Every time you go into the dealer with a problem, it's, we got to call HQ and get an engineer on the phone or a FaceTime. I mean, the dealer cannot support this.
So what do you think GM is going to do with the lyric? Oh, hey, Mike, we'll take care of that for you.
That's
but
right.
we got to call our guy in Silicon Valley.
Like I said, we're probably 90% sure we'll go with the Y.
Mm-hmm. My man. Okay, our time is running low, but let's hit up on a comment a user made of our last podcast, and it was about the Model Y Fire. If some of you guys recall, guys and girls recall, that there was a Model Y that seemingly caught on fire, and someone captured this video of it, and a lot of speculation. Of course, anything dealing with Tesla, people are going to like, oh my God, the thing is a death trap, blah blah blah. It's breaking news. It's a ridiculous thing. But there was a commenter. His name was Valkus. And what he mentioned, some things which I think are some good points. He says the driver said the center screen froze, then blinked. The hazard lights were active in the video he took. The fire seems to be centered on the center of the dashboard where the computer is located. All that to me says the computer suffered some sort of failure and is a likely cause of the fire, in his opinion. That's a good thing. I think that maybe he had something because there's a very nice 12-volt plug up there that you can plug up all kinds of stuff to, and it's pretty robust. Yeah. So I'm thinking that maybe they had something plugged up in there, and maybe some wires.
His coffee cup heater to keep his Starbucks hot.
Something like that. And then the wiring maybe melted or something like that, and
had
caused
a hot
this to
plate.
happen.
A hot plate. He was cooking some eggs.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think the battery pack had anything to do with it. Of course, I'm not an expert. I don't work for Tesla. It's just something I think. But we've seen. Remember if you guys remember, there was one car that was he was driving a regular car, and he had the dash cam on, and then there was a Model S that passed him in the neighborhood, and the Model S was going so fast it jumped the street. And then all the batteries just came out. It bottomed out, and all the batteries came out, and it caught on fire and exploded. I'm not sure if I remember that, but that is like a battery failure. But this looks like something that was just inside, maybe user error.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just think that anything dealing with Tesla, I'm sure you guys do. Anything that deals with Tesla, it just automatically people are just dogpiling. Oh yeah, the car is crap. Is this and that and the third? Look at the car exploding. But how many millions of cars of Tesla cars are on the streets today? You know what I'm saying? And people line up waiting to get a car. Like Mike, his Model Y, he might not get to what, November, December, January?
December, yeah.
And people, that's not deterring people. So no matter how these people try to do these fear mongering about, oh my gosh, is it reliable, fire, whatever, people still line up to get them.
I'll tell you, and I will say this: I never, ever, ever expected to be one of these people who will wait 6 months to buy a damn car. That was never in the playbook. I'm just not that kind of guy that, I don't go to Apple stores when they open at midnight.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
It just isn't part of my
gosh.
DNA to be that early adopter that early. But for the Y, I'm making an exception. I'll hang tough for 6 months and we'll see what comes of it.
I'm doing it for the plaid. I wouldn't otherwise.
The PlayStation 3, I got up and went to go stand in line for that. But then I realized the line was it was around the corner. I went back up and I got up at like 2 a.m. I said, you know what, I'm going to be first. And there was a line around the corner. I said, forget it. So I went back. So all right. So there's another comment that we talked about. And Axel William Dannebarger. But a new Tesla have microphones in and outside of the cars that can sense yelling and other important traffic sounds. For example, in Europe, when you press the bottom on a traffic light to get the time to deserves transition, it starts beeping to let everyone know it's safe to walk over the road.
We do that here too.
Yeah, we have that in the States. Those buttons.
That's not new.
Right, but but he's trying to say that there's microphones in and outside the car.
I'm not aware of a microphone on the outside. I don't know.
I
mean, they could, but like, there's certainly up to this point, we have no evidence of them using any external microphone for modeling or any kind of control of the car.
Right.
That's not being used. But I haven't seen it again in the teardowns that I've watched or the diagrams I've seen. I haven't seen an external microphone. Doesn't mean they aren't doing them. Again, don't work for Tesla.
Yep.
Didn't design the car. Didn't build the car.
Right.
But they definitely have one on the inside, and one could argue the inside one could be used to sense like emergency vehicles or other types of things because they're supposed to be pretty piercing sound wise, but it's not going to be reliable because of music and other stuff. So
you ain't been in my car with playing music with bass in it, bro. Let me tell you. So that mic ain't hearing jack. I'm gonna tell you right now, that mic ain't hear nothing but me and that booming. I'm gonna tell you, man. Look, the Model 3 performance, the system is this cat's pajamas, man. It is amazing. I'm just keeping it real, man. There's no distortion. It's clean. It's a really nice factory system.
I look forward to riding with you next time I'm in LA. I want the Mark experience.
Bruh, man. There's another comment about from Roddles. And this kind of grinded Lewis's gears a little bit. He says on safety scores and FSD beta, things are starting to point progress in versions 11 and 10.11, 10.12 to a very wide FSD release before the end of this year. So maybe they do a few beta expansions in the next few months. But if you don't want to try to game the safety score system to get FSD, don't. Simply don't bother. You'll still probably get FSD before the year is out. No promises, though. We're on Elon time. Right. Until then, he says, until then, enjoy your Tesla. So, yeah. So,
absolutely.
So, I tried to. The only reason I got it the first time is because I gamed the system. I waited until, because they were doing them pretty frequently. And so I said, okay, I had to. My call times were 4 a.m. in the morning, so no one was out in the street, so I could totally do it with no problems. And I got it that Friday, which was amazing. But now, there's no way that I could try to do that. And then for weeks and months that people are doing. But what he mentioned here, man, is perfect. Just enjoy the car because, it's funny how people get, they complain about the beta, but then they still want to get on it, and then they get in it. And then once they get it, it messes up, it does that. It's beta, so it's going to be it's going to have problems.
Yeah. So many people post that you're not that's not a small point to what Mark just said. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of posts on various social media and other things of people going, I did this thing, I gave my score, it's trash, it's terrible, whatever. If you don't want to like actually test the software, if you think it's going to be your car just does everything and you can go to sleep, you are barking up the wrong tree. Please don't game your score. You're going to kill somebody. But like, yeah, it's anyway. I agree with you. If I am interested in actually playing with it and testing it, I'm looking forward to. Well, I'm not looking forward to gaming my score, but I am looking forward to receiving the FSD beta, which will probably require me to game my score. However,
Well,
I'm not going to use it constantly, and I will be monitoring it. So yeah.
Mike is like, yeah, well, you know.
No, I
I'm
mean,
not.
but
I'm-
to Mike's
I'm
point,
staying the
like
hell out of
Mike
this.
doesn't want to do that. So that's I agree. Like if you don't want to do that, don't try to get yourself into the beta.
I'm in a quandary, Lewis. I signed up for FSD. You know, I subscribed to it. I tried to get the beta, and they said no. Something about an 85 or a 90 score isn't good enough. And my experience with what they're selling me is crap.
Agreed.
Has no business
it's
being on
not
the
worth
road.
it with the subscription in my mind because
and
you're
yet-
paying now for the thing
Everyone's
that
talking
isn't
about
out
this
yet.
beta that's God's gift to driving that
Right.
I can't get.
Agreed. Like the subscription makes sense once it's reaching a certain level of maturity and it goes widespread, right? Then the subscription makes sense. Right now, the subscription doesn't make sense because you're paying to not get the feature
All it's done is turn me
on a
off to the whole
subscription.
thing.
Whereas, if you buy it outright up front, it's still arguably not worth it to most people.
I
But
wouldn't think it is.
but my point
I don't
is,
see
but I'm
how.
not paying more money month to month to not get the feature, right? Like I'm gonna get the feature once it's available, and it doesn't cost me additional money. But yeah, anyway, no, I feel you, man. I feel you.
Yeah, well, Elon, look, my thing is people complain about it and then they're waiting in line to get it, then they get it, and then you complain about it. It's beta. They're expecting you to test it to send them data about
like
whatever
alpha,
you thought
but,
didn't
know,
work.
we'll just-
Yeah, whatever to call it. It's not
Yeah.
ready for prime
Well,
time. You can't
Yeah.
just.
I'm happy to send them data, Mark. What I don't can I send them the repair bill when it screws up?
Well, Mike, you're supposed to.
That's realistic.
You're supposed to be, 2 and
Hands on the
10
wheel.
or 3 and 9.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be able to engage it when at a moment's notice. You're not supposed to be relaxed. So,
And how that works.
Now-
if your car gets if your car gets to a wreck, Mike, it's your fault. Okay, we told you it's a beta and it's meant to be treated as such.
That's
Mark,
right.
Mark
It's
tell
a
us
beta.
more
There's
about
no
how you
business-
used to use it,
no
how you were
business
always
being on a
alert with your
public road.
hands.
Hey man, look, I'm always diligent and looking right ahead and
I
saying?
feel you.
So Elon ruffled some feathers, and this is another one of our comments we got from users. Elon ruffled feathers talking about working from home, and he said some thoughts about him working remotely. Some factory workers might resent those lazy people who sit around at home and don't know what's really going
That's me.
on.
Lazy person.
Others will resent those lazy office workers who sit around drinking coffee and BSing and don't know what's really going on. Still, others will resent the pompous management. I mean, Mike is management, who sit in meetings and taking long lunches with glasses of wine. Basing important decisions on what the factory workers think about is not the best excuse.
Gotta have your
Scotch,
finger
not
up.
wine. Let's get
Scotch
it right.
works.
Scotch.
Scotch
Scotch.
works.
You're right. So
I'm a snob. Scotch works.
So I know Lewis, you guys work from home. Like I work in the film and television industry. We can't work from home, so I have to go in. And during the pandemic, I worked every day, even worked more because I'm also a Part 107, so I fly drones commercially. So I do drone work. But so I worked more during the pandemic. But I'm not sure if I would want to work home because what I do, I enjoy it and it's engaging, and I'm a cinematographer, I'm a camera operator, so it's my job to capture things. So I have fun doing it. But there's people, like Lewis, that the software programming and things like that, where maybe if I am at home in my comfortable chair, propped up, my mind can focus on something better, and maybe I can make a better product versus being in a noisy place. Francis coming in. Hey, Lewis, did you see the Game of Thrones last night? No, bruh, I was with my woman.
Go away. I'm busy.
Throwing your throwing you off. So maybe they're, so I think it's cool if people work from home as long as they, but you gotta, own up to it. You gotta police yourself. Like, all right, I'm working from home. I gotta make sure that I'm going to be productive here and show something. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a
Sure.
balancing act.
Yeah. So I mean, first, so yeah, it was Marty 3SR, right, that made that comment. I mostly agree with this post. I felt like he kind of covered both sides of it pretty well. There's again, like Mark, what you just said, right? There's types of work you have to go in person, or you got to be there. There's types of work where you work from home, or where you can be more effective working from home. Depends on what you do. Is it fair if you're somebody that wants to work from home, right? It's not fair if you have a job where you can't. I mean, unfortunately, life's not fair in a lot of cases. That's just one of them.
Right.
But I definitely, like, personally, I miss working in the office sometimes. I don't miss commuting. But like, I've had jobs in the past where I traveled a lot for my job, right? I lived in many countries for work, and I loved that. Pandemic shut all that down, right? I'm not traveling for work anymore. I also miss collaborating in person, right? There's enjoyment in that. I miss having a whiteboard and sitting around with a team of engineers and doing some of that collaboration. Or, it could be easier, when you're doing, like mathematics or advanced algorithms. Again, a group of people around a whiteboard discussing and debating. Can you do those things virtually? Sure. Is it as good virtual? No. No tools really work as well as being in person. But I mean, to be honest, I definitely, depending on the type of work I'm doing, can be way more productive at home than I can be in the office. So it just depends on what you're doing. I think hybrid is the correct approach. I think a lot of companies need to just support hybrid. The fact that Elon seems to not want to, I disagree with. I think that's a mistake. As we said, we covered this in the last podcast. But for Marty's comment, I mostly think I agree with him. I think a lot of it is perception. It's not really the reality of what people are doing. It's people assume, like, oh, those guys at home, they're not working, or oh, those guys in the office, they're not working, or whatever. And at the end of the day, right, if you have teammates or you have coworkers that have a job to do, right? Like, so for example, in his comment, he mentions, like, the guys in the floor of the factory. If I'm working for Tesla, but I'm doing the software for the equipment that runs in the factory for the manufacturing, there is value in me being there. There is value in seeing how they work with the equipment and understanding that job. Do you need to do that, every day, for every week, for every month that you're working? No, but to be fully remote, is not what I would recommend. But I mean, do you always have to be in person? Absolutely not. So, is what it is. But yeah, I agree with you, Marty. I think those are good points.
Yeah. My boy Yolo has a question about FSD. He says, would you pay more to receive FSD beta right away without requiring a safety score?
Yes.
I would 100%.
I would.
Yes.
I would want to try it.
Yes. Because it was great. It was fantastic, man. When the new stack compared to the old one, it is.
But I want it as a subscription, because if it fails miserably, like what I tried last time,
you can
just delete it and move on.
Yeah, for sure, man. I would absolutely in a heartbeat do that.
It's got to do a chargeback on your card, Mike. You but buy it outright on your card and then use it for a few days and be like, screw this, charge it back, take it off.
Yeah. We'll get. So here's the thing. Let me ask this, Mike. Riddle me this, Batman. So, has anyone in your daughters, have they used when you had autopilot FSD?
Mm-hmm.
Did they use it?
They're not allowed to drive the Tesla.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
Well, it's a very practical reason why. My insurance is X because my wife and I are in the policy. I've actually got the Tesla on its own insurance policy, separate from everybody else, because that cut my rates by half. As soon as I put one of my teenage daughters on the policy, it gets outrageously expensive.
I totally understand that.
So
that's why I don't have children. So I respect that. I respect that.
It's funny on that point though. About, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, late 20s, early 30s, I actually added my father to my car insurance because I was paying for his car and everything.
Did you take?
It cut my rate, and I was
because he's a safe driver.
But I
Wow.
was shocked because but he was in his 70s. I
Doesn't
was just
matter.
like,
He's a mature,
what
safe
the
driver.
heck?
Yeah.
Anyway, I was blown away. It actually was cheaper to add him to my
Yeah.
policy.
Well, I tell you, with a teenager, it's the other way.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Happier.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I know how I was driving. Look, I used to have a Yugo. My first car was a Yugo GV. I think I told you that. And I used to ride down the main strip. I had the hatch back up, and I had a black and white TV in the back. So the TV would face out to the people behind me, so people could watch TV in a car. This was in what? This was 80, 89. I did this or
You're
whatever.
a bad influence.
Man, I look, man. So I totally get the whole thing.
Although, I gotta say, Mark, I have followed SUVs before where they've got the kids' DVD deck going,
Right.
and you can see the screen as you're
Right.
following them.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen that too. Yeah, for sure. We got a comment. The one he says, I do need a TMC podcast app next to my Netflix and my Model 3 screen. All right, Doug and Danny, those are the producers of the show. Y'all need to get on that. So there's no question. You already got people requesting it.
Well, he also asked for working from his Tesla. He wanted to work remote from his Tesla.
Well, there's
And-
that.
and
Yeah.
I was going to comment that I've actually tried to get Teams to run on my Tesla. Not successfully yet. I'm still trying to figure out a way.
I got it.
Oh,
All right,
Microsoft.
All right, gentlemen, we have to pause it for here for today. Episode 13 was a success. As always, Lewis and Mike, y'all are the cat's pajamas. I'm telling you, I can't think of anyone else that I want to be with on a Sunday than you two mugs. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Even your cutie in the Lexus, whatever it
Hey
was.
man, look, that's later. That's later. All right. So anyway, people out there in TV land and radio land, if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We always want to hear what you have to say. So in the comments, please tell us things you want us to talk about, things you had a comment on about today's episodes or even in past episodes. You can also go to the podcast section at teslamotorsclub.com. If you would like to support the site, please consider becoming a supporting member of the TMC website. And you can also follow the TMC team on social media. The links are here. Doug, Danny, Adam, James, Joshua, these cats behind the scenes, they do a great job. They put all these things up for us so that we can look smooth and cool, but it's really, we're riding on their shoulders. So we thank them for helping us out here as well. So that will end another episode of the Tesla Motors Club Forum podcast. This is number 13. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, Mike, Lewis, everyone else, sayonara.
Be safe.
Later.